All right, it's 8 o'clock. We give everybody a few minutes to join on here before we get started. Let me pull up, make sure I can get to it. You guys hear everything okay? Hey, what's happening? What's happening? John, all right. Good, good, good. Loud and clear. Adam? Good, good. Gordy, good to see you, bud. Got to get back on the water. I'm sure you've been busy. Button on the right. Well done. All right, guys. Glad everyone could make it. And we're going to go over. Hey, Joe. Joe, I got to give you a call. We're going to be out in Lexington Friday. So I want to touch base with you and try to get some point of contacts out there. We want to meet some people. So Alex and I. So I'll get with you in a bit, if not tomorrow. Hear my security system out there barking? All right, guys. Thanks for joining. We got about 13 of you on here. That's great. So we're going to talk about 2018, the past year, what went right and what we can improve on, and kind of talk about 2019 and where we're going to try to take this thing, the series as a whole, and some of the changes. We're not going to go in depth on the changes because we're still ironing them out, but we want to give you guys an idea of what we're looking for. So we'll go from there. All right. 15 of you guys on here. So let's look at 2018. So we had 10 scheduled tournaments for 2018. That's including the Tournament of Champions. Total fish caught 512 weighed and released fish. I could say there's a lot of teams that caught fish and just released them, that didn't bring them into the weigh scales because they just weren't close enough to being in the money and whatnot. So they just released them. So that's good. That's fine. But 512 fish weighed in. That's 6,691.3 pounds total weight for the year. It's not too bad. And these stats will get all posted on here. So we almost doubled, not quite, almost doubled the fish caught from last year. And we added a couple more 1,000 pounds of total weight from last year. So not too bad. Our biggest fish for the year was 96.8 pounds. And it's Matt Merton and Kyle Kohler. They also won the Border Wars tournament. And so that's going to be tough to beat. And I would bet, and they caught it and it held on to that fish for quite a while. Kyle runs tournaments, right? So we know he knows what the presentation's all about. So he held on to that fish and he brought it in. Great presentation, big weigh-in, bigger crowd. If he would have ran it in, this is my personal opinion, if he would have ran that fish in right after he caught it, which I would have done, Joel's like, hey, I'm going to beat that fish. But my point is that if they would have brought that fish in right when they caught it, I bet it would have triple digits. It would have been probably triple digits. It was a big fish. It'd been puking and everything else. So it was losing weight while they're holding on to it. But it was released healthy. Great fish, 96.8 pounds. And Joel, I'm a betting man, and I bet you do beat it. The fish you've hauled in, I've seen them during a tournament, outside of a tournament, and pretty freaking big, pretty awesome. The biggest weigh-in of the year was at the first tournament, and that was Justin Thornton and Dwayne Buckridge, 183.5 pounds with 5 fish. Not too bad, not too bad. So that's a pretty good weigh-in. And, you know, the high water this year, we all know how that was. It was just different, right? It was just throwing our fishing off, and it's just how it goes. Tournament Champions winners was Joel Roberts and Jackson Van Leer, and they had 171 pounds with 5 fish. That's really awesome. So it was a great great way to bookend a series, right? A tournament season. 183 pounds for the initial one and 171 pounds for the final one. Great year, great fishing, and it kind of proves the fishery that we're in. There's some nice fish out here. Even in high water, you know, these anglers are competitive and they're out there and they're working, they're spending time on the water. And they still pull off these kind of weights, you know. And then we have some new anglers, fairly new anglers, you know, come out there and learn the waters, and they're trying to follow these guys and learn from them and pick their brains. And they had some pretty impressive weigh-ins throughout the year. When all those weigh-ins are posted, you see that on our tournament page, all the tournament results are posted out there, and they're all consolidated under the photos, so you can go out there and research them and look for them yourself. So check it out. So those are some stats. Again, these will be posted. If you have questions on stats or looking for a certain stat, message Uzi. She's the AACT on the page. Message her, and or just send her a direct message on her personal account, whatever you want to do. Go to her for the numbers, because I'll screw them up. So just make sure you go to her for those if you have questions on them. So overall, Joe, we're on the right side. Oh, thanks, Joe. Thanks for watching out, Joe. I was wondering if I was seeing something over here. I couldn't tell if it was a reflection or what, but it was driving me freaking batty, but I didn't want to be picking at it. So thanks. All right. So overall, I think 2018 was a good year. I think we were pretty successful in what we wanted to do. We're growing. We're learning. We're working with some really good people. We're getting to meet you know, a lot of good people, making a lot of good friends, making some real positive memories. We want to keep doing that. And one thing we realized in 2018, we knew that before, but really in 2018 it became apparent, is this is a community. We're growing a community on our page. I would say our tournament page is more interactive than just about any other one that I've seen. And you know how I am on social media. I'm not too active on it. If I have time, I'll flip through, or if I'm on a long conference call, I'll flip through and look at stuff real quick and move on. But other than that, I don't. So, but some people do. And people who are looking at our page and looking at our community and seeing how we're representing ourselves are potential sponsors. They're cities. They're people in other cities looking to bring our events to their locations and contemplating if we're somebody they want to get behind. So we've always emphasized being professional, having a good time, remaining positive. And we got to see that pay off for us this year when the Kansas City's Visitors Bureau invited us to a baseball game. Hey, Sonny, invited us to a baseball game, and I asked a couple people to go, and they couldn't at the last minute. It's no problem. So Eddie Henny and I went, and we got to talking to some people. It turned out that the reason they invited us is they had another event organizer there, and from Adaptive Sports, and then they had an editor and some bloggers from the Sports Events Media Group, and we got to talking with them, and turned out, you know, they liked what we had. They liked our story. They had looked at our page, a lot of good things. And then they said, okay, we're going to bring you out to North Carolina to our annual relationship conference. Yeah, and the fisheries people, good point. The fisheries people see the page too. And we do have some of them on there, and they do interact with us, and they talk to us, and they've had phone calls with us and stuff. So the relationship conference that we got sponsored for, all expenses paid. Flew me out there, huge friggin' hotel room, meeting room in it and everything else. Had a table set up. They had it all organized for all these different locations to come meet with us and hear what we got to say. We had people walking up to meet with me to pitch to us to come to their state, to their cities. And they had printouts from conversations of our page. And some of them was positive feedback, like, hey, you know, we love seeing the kids there. We love seeing the spouses there, you know, partners there. The food is awesome, you know, all these great things. And so it reiterates the need to remain positive, not a fake facade, because we don't need to do that, right? If someone's being negative, they're gone. We don't need it. It doesn't help anybody. We just remove them, and we still have a good time. And if someone wants to make the argument that hurts our boat numbers, good. So be it. Positive, good interactions, taking care of the anglers, taking care of our sponsors take care of us, doing all that on our page, being interactive, being accessible, you guys posting things, showing what you're selling, showing what the graphs are in the water, giving tips, helping each other, how to tune in stuff. That's all positive interactions, and we want to encourage that. We want to see more of it. This is your community too. All of you guys contributed to it, and it's paying off for us. It really is. We got to see it there. And so far, we haven't, the reason we're there or went there is to meet these locations and have these locations pitched to us about having us come there. And they have financial assistance in some cases to help us get there. And this all contributes to it. So we got to see that firsthand. And so I appreciate you guys maintaining that positive, policing each other, not putting up with the negativity and telling the person to take it somewhere else. I appreciate it all. So keep doing it. We're going to keep growing. And that's what builds our success. And I think that's what really makes it fun. And if someone wants to make the argument that it's too cliquish, of course that person's going to say that. They're probably the one being negative. So let them say what they want to say. Their opinion really doesn't matter anyway. It's what everyone else is having a good time and trying to be positive on. And if that's being a click, so be it. I'm not a clicky guy, but I'll take positive over negative any day. All right. So let's keep it going. Let's keep growing. And let's get more people on the page and have a good time. All right. So some of the other things we did this year is we had besides kicking off the year with a real impressive weigh-in, we had a VFW event, first responders event, and we raised money for the VFW. We didn't have a big boat turnout, and I've heard people talking about why that was. That's fine. We listened, and if it happens again, those people won't be back. I can tell you that right now. We wanted to maintain positive. We're trying to do a good thing for first responders and the VFW. And if someone's trying to interfere with that, that's not going to help us. It's not helping them. It's not helping the VFW or those first responders, and we don't need it around. So next year when we do this, we're going to promote it more, do what we can to grow it. We're going to watch out for the negativity. But the bottom line is we still, besides everything that took place, we still got to raise money for the veterans of foreign wars, for the post in Gardner, and that's a really good thing because they do use that money locally to help veterans. Since I've been part of that VFW, they've had several veterans pass away. A lot of them fall to illness. They've got jackets for kids and families in the wintertime and donated to the schools and stuff. So they use it. They take that money, even though it's just a few $100s we raise for them, it gets used back to the community. And that's you guys supporting us. And by us being able to help them out, that's a good thing. Again, positive. We also raised money for a family in need. It came up really quick. We had a short reaction time, and the catfish community came together. It was great. Hey, James, good to see you, bud. And we were able to help them raise money and get awareness brought to a situation, and it was great. It was a really good thing to see, and we're happy we could have been that forum for that to take place. So I'm glad it's there. And you know what? And Joshua really helped us back with the food and everything else. So, he just wasn't on receive mode. He was 100% in participating and doing some good things. And we won't forget that either. All right. We also raised some money for the school snack program. Some people contributed on the side, added money. And so we had some sponsors when they were selling fish, GNR Bait. When they were selling the fish and stuff, we had some people kicking some money on the side out of their pocket. They were fishing the event just to help the pot grow. Well, we didn't forget that. So working with the school when I was turning in school supplies that we raised during the tournament, I'll get to that in a second. We raised all the school supplies in the tournaments, and we donated to the school. And I got to talking to the counselor there. And they're like, yeah. And I said, what is it you guys need? Next year, what can we work on? And I said, what the biggest thing we need right now is we need help with the snacks. So we have a lot of kids come to school that are hungry and don't have money for their lunch accounts. And so the teachers have snacks in the rooms for them. And so I remembered how much money was contributed, and we just gave it to them, and with some extras kicked in. So we helped out the school, a school with their snack program that the teachers are normally funding out of their pocket. So next year, and I won't go too much in 2019, but next year, we have food and drinks at our events. We're going to have a can out there, or a jar out there, or a box. And I think it was Dave Shipman had mentioned before that we should do this. So we're going to do it next year. It's going to be called a tip jar, whatever you want to call it, contribution. You can, it's up to you. We're going to put it out there. People can drop the money into, and then we'll take it to the schools, and we'll leave it we'll have it at all our events. We'll take it to the schools, and we'll help out with that snack program. And we won't be able to do it for all the schools, but we can. We can't do it for all schools, but at least we can make a difference for it. Every little drop helps, right? So we're going to try to do what we can. So look for that. We'll talk more about it. So we contributed to VFW, a family in need, the school snack program. We raised a bunch of school supplies, and some guys got some free entries because of that. We had drinks and snacks and food for you guys at our events, and that's not going to stop. We're going to keep doing that. On our events that we are headlining, the ones that we put on, if we partner with other people, that may change, but we are always going to have at our events on our normal schedule, we're going to have that stuff for you guys. Overall, I would say we had a very diverse group. We had a lot of young anglers, a lot of guys bringing their girlfriends or wives or spouses out and fishing the tournaments. We had people from a lot of different locations, from different states fishing our tournaments, a lot of first-time anglers fishing our tournaments. So we're growing, and we're getting a lot of good positive feedback. And like Preston here saying he wishes he could fish more tournaments this year, and he's looking for more tournaments next year. You know what? Not everyone can fish all the tournaments. We understand that, but we're still going to be here for you, and come on out and sling some bait. And it doesn't have to be necessarily in a tournament. You want to go fishing sometime, we got time off, hit people up on the page and go fishing with each other. It's a good time. So we like to see that diversity growing in the group. Hey, Tony. Not good to see you. Late. He's late. Well, you're a Marine, raised school supplies, had drinks. And one thing, the feedback we got that I appreciate probably the most is people feel welcome when they come to our events. And they should, right? We're glad to see you. So why wouldn't you feel welcome? We hope you do feel welcome. Sometimes I'm busy and I can't talk to people, and my eyes were jacked up for a couple of events, so I didn't recognize people. So I'm sure people thought I was just ignoring them. I just walked past them. But hey, we're glad you're there, and I try to come by and see people before they leave to thank them for coming out there, tell them to be safe heading home. I just want to see the guys supporting us, and I say guys is just a general term. Just everybody who comes and supports us, I want to see them. We had first-time anglers out there. I think it was Casey Hayes' sister. I think it was his sister, maybe a cousin or something like that. First time she ever fished a tournament. She's fishing the Border Wars with her dad. I guess it was his sister. Had a great time. First time weighing in a fish. She seemed pretty happy. That's what we want. We want to keep growing that. Let's see here. Again, a lot of positive feedback, and we need that feedback. There's some guys just call or message and complain about some things, and they're just complaining. They had no valid points. They just needed to get off their chest, whatever the case was. They didn't even make a point of what the issue was they were bringing up. And so you just got to listen to it and let it go on. But overwhelmingly, the majority of the feedback was extremely positive, and that's what we need. When there is issues in an event and someone brings it to my attention, whether it's a joke or it's just a message or a text or a picture, everything gets addressed. All right. Because if someone's taking the time, and I've said this before, if you're taking the time to point it out to me, then I'm going to respect that and I'm going to address it. That doesn't mean the person who brought it up is 100% correct. They could be wrong, but it's worth talking about it and exploring it a little bit more. If it's valid and it can improve the situation or a future situation or prevent a negative situation in the future, we're going to address it. If it's just complaining because someone didn't get gravy for biscuits and gravy, that's on them. Get there early. All right. We'll try, but you guys hear what I'm saying. You know what I'm trying to say. All right. Again, we were invited by the Sports Media Group to that relationship conference in North Carolina, and when I got to that conference, we spent a week out there, and got to meet some people, and really got to see a lot of people that gave up their regular careers to pursue what they really were enjoying doing. And I'd already I've always thought about it. I mean, if you've known me for any length of time, for years I talked about doing tournaments, and trying to figure out a way to make a living off of fishing. And people will say, "Oh, if you're trying to make a living off fishing, you're just being greedy." They can say what they want. That type of person's attitude is not anything I pay attention to. So the point is, I would love to be able to walk away from corporate America and put on events for guys that appreciate it. Yeah, work does suck, and he wants to fish every day. Yeah, I mean, none of us mind really putting work on the water, and when it doesn't pay off for us, we just post a picture of a sunset or a sunrise. So even that's good. So that's what I want to do. I want to put these events on. I just want to do it. I want this to grow. This regional one is not going to be enough to ever get me out of corporate America. It's just not. But national events has the potential to, and we're going to get there eventually. Hopefully we will, and if we don't, we're going to figure out something else. But there's a way for people to make money at this, to make a profession, following what they love to do, being around people they really enjoy being around, and do something. So that's what we're going to ultimately try to get to. If it pays off, great. If it doesn't, at least we gave it a shot. We also worked with the conservation group several times to tag fish so they could do their migration study, and that was really good. All-American at Wheeler. Yeah, that's a different conversation altogether, Joshua. So anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. All right, sponsors this year. Our sponsors are great. Our sponsors got on board with this. Some got on board with us really early on. Other ones came in to kind of recognize us, and again, they came to us, and they've been great sponsors. And one that just came to us one day at one of our tournaments and showed up and surprised us was Macy's Fish and Spine, and that was a home run. I mean, they seen something in us, whatever it was, and they got on board with us, and you guys got on board with them, and it's just worked out great. They are great people. Mike and Angie and the Skylar and Macy's, just fun to be around. Just positive, have a good time. They like to joke around and don't dare go to sleep around any of them. Or Gerald, Judy, because they will take a picture. And Justin Thornton, you try to doze off a little bit, someone's got a camera. They're going to get you. So anyways, it's fun. They take care of you guys. You got some good prices on the products they have. They fish. They're outdoors people, so they know the equipment you're looking for. If they have problems with it, they just don't get it again. So the things they have in their stores are things that we can use, and it's worked out for us. They're just really, really good people. Yeah, you're right, Joe. Stovers are great people, and I'm glad we got to meet them. And they don't just have fishing equipment, guys. The sponsors, this Macy's Fish and Spines, the fish is the fishing gear, and the fines is the dog foods, the cat foods, the soaps, the cleaning equipment, the dishwashing pods, all that stuff, candles, everything, Skylar Ag parts, all the agriculture parts, oils, belts, all that kind of stuff. They have all of that. And so they're in Chula, Missouri, and you guys get your gear from them. All right, so that's pretty awesome. I was just meeting with the Kansas City Visitors Bureau last week, and they were being very supportive of us, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the director there, she's like, hey, I can help you get a tackle sponsor from down the road. There's a tackle store. And I said, yeah, we tried working with that tackle location before, and it just didn't work out. They didn't get on board. And so the point I'm getting at, not to bash another location, but what I'm pointing out is they recognize something in us, and it's worked. And because of that, you guys latched onto them, and you're willing to maybe wait a day or two to get your product, or a little bit longer, because it's a good product. It's a cheap, lot lower cost, and we weren't getting that in our own backyard. So it shows a lot on their character and their business practices. We can get behind them all day long. So we explain that to the city. They're on board with it. Macy's Fish and Finds on there. We have a page on our website of their product list. Yeah, and we see it. You see the comments right here. The big 5 gallon things of soap, the pods for dishwashing, the gear, they're everything. I mean, I've drove up there a couple times just because I had time to do it, and I am not against impulse shopping when it comes to fishing gear, and they're just great. So we want to stick with the Stovers. So make sure the Stovers and other sponsors, that we take the time not just to talk amongst ourselves about how great they are, but we relay to them that they're great, and we appreciate their support too. Justin Thornton Painting, Justin got onto us really early, and he supported us, and he's put a lot of his personal and business money into this. GNR Bait, Ron and Gerald, they supported us, and because of that, other tournament series see what they've done, and they've tried to latch onto them too, and that's all great. Those poor guys are trying to kick back and relax, and they're having to make all these bait runs for everybody. So it's good. It reflects how they support us. We want to keep supporting them. Hooker's Terminal Tackle, he sent us a box of goods at the beginning of the year. We've been giving them out. We give them to the young anglers and things like that. And we get it. Everyone's got their own style of hooks. Everyone has their preference on hooks and things like that. They understand that too, and he still supports us, and he supports a lot of groups, and so that's great. Those guys are great guys. The Rod Socks, the original Rod Socks, came on late in the season, but they still gave us a lot of products. We've given some out. We've had them on display. I would highly recommend, if you don't have those Rod Socks, to get some. I've got them on my poles now. I got, in fact, Eddie Henny still has the ones I got him in the truck. I've seen another one in there. So we see more and more people use those. I would have never used them if Eddie didn't show them to me and kind of forced me to keep using them. But they're very handy. And as soon as you get there, you take the sleeve off and you're ready to sling bait. You didn't have your weight rolling around your pole, didn't tangle up at the other pole. The pole's not rubbing up on stuff. It's protected. It's really a good system. So check out the original Rod Socks. You've seen them at our displays. We have them at the tournaments. We're going to have them next year. We're going to talk to them and see what else they can do next year, and make sure they're still on board. I really like them, and I would highly recommend you guys keep using them. And Macy's Fish and Find has them. Yeah, they protect your lines too. Although I had a line break on me this weekend, but that's a different story. And Eddie reties his stuff, and I did not retie mine, and I broke a line. So there you go. All right. So 2018, pretty good season, a lot of good times. If you guys enjoyed the food, we're going to keep doing it as long as it's not a problem. If it ever becomes a point of contention at our tournaments, it's an easy stop, right? It's a huge expense, but you know what? I like to eat just as much as anyone else, so we're going to keep doing it as long as it stays positive and we have a good time. So keep that up. Any questions on 2018? Anything you guys want to talk about in 2018? I know there's a delay here, so if they do, just slap it in the comments here. All right. 2019. I'm just looking at my notes. So 2019, we're going to have 10 events again. I've got 8 right now. I'm still looking at a couple other locations. That's why I've not posted our schedule yet. We wanted to have it by the Border Wars, but after going to North Carolina and meeting with these different locations, we kind of put the brakes on posting that out there because we want to get added money to our events. Joshua, if you need me to go meet with them, I will do that. Yes, we do need more biscuits and gravy, Joe. I can tell you this on the biscuits and gravy. Even on the day tournaments, I wouldn't mind having some biscuits and gravy. It's just a pain to get there that early and get things set up. So, if we could figure out a way to do it, Tuttle Creek. So, Sonny, I was talking to someone about Tuttle Creek a few weeks ago, And there's, I'll say this, there's probably going to be some events there this year. I'm not sure. It's not going to be ours, but there will be some events there this year. So look for Tuttle Creek on some tournament trails. I'll just say that. But to Sonny's point about other locations, we have been asked by a lot of people here, especially lately, to add another lake on our tournaments for next year. So that brings us into 2019 discussion again. So 2019, we're going to have 10 events. We don't have them all outlined yet. We have shared our dates that we have as placeholders right now with other tournament trails. And we also will keep them abreast of any new situations, any new dates or conflicts. We're going to try not to conflict with anybody. There may be some, and I'll just say right now, if there is, we will let them know as much as we can. If we overlook something and have a conflict, it's not intentional. And Joel, to that point, I'm with you on Hillsdale. I think it would be cool to have one in Hillsdale, but we may so let's just talk about that for a second. So Hillsdale Lake, I wouldn't mind having a tournament there, but there's one. So Mike, there's some flatheads in Hillsdale. And good to see you, Mike, by the way. Good to see you. There's some out there in Hillsdale. There's some things we're working on right now, and it may be outside our normal tournament series schedule, but we're going to, and I had two conversations on it this evening, as a matter of fact, of putting on a special event, and we'll get to that in a second. But Hillsdale may be one of them. Perry may be one too. Where's Hillsdale? Right here, Gardner and Edgerton there, Joe. That's where Hillsdale Lake is. Hillsdale Reservoir here in Kansas. All right, so it's a 10-event schedule next year. It's a points race. We do have a new sponsor, Miracle Marine, and this is an example of them watching us, seeing what we're doing, like what they're seeing, and then going in all in behind us. So initially, they're at $2,500 for the Border Wars next year. That's a pretty big step for a brand new sponsor. All-American Catfish Crappie tournament on Hillsdale. If I knew how to freaking catch a crappie out here, I would do it maybe. But I think we have some crappie experts. Maybe we have to look at that, Joel. Maybe we have to take a look at that. How about a multi-species, right? How about a weigh-in of crappie, catfish, and walleye? See who can get the trifecta. All right. So we'll talk about that. But Miracle Marine got on board with this. They've been watching the page. They sat back and they said, well, there's something we want to work with. Brent Riddle reached out to me. We talked about it, and he went back and talked to them. And like I said, $2,500 on the Border Wars. They also said they want to do some other things for us, and we'll detail that out. Like if you're using one of their boats and you win first place, getting some added money. So there's things that they want to do. We will detail it all out. We'll probably go out there and shoot a promotional video around their location and let you guys get to know them more. They're doing some big things. They got a lot of things in the works, and we appreciate their support. And I think their freaking boats are pretty awesome looking. So keep, thanks to Miracle Marine, you guys. If you're not on their page, check them out. But they want to help more with the tournament. Brent Riddle's our point of contact for them. They're going to look to help out on other areas and other things. And it's all based on how well we support them, is how well they support us. And that's what it should be. It should be a partnership. And we're looking forward to it. So get out there. And we've already announced at Border Wars what their commitment is on the Border Wars for next year in 2019. Like I said, we got some new locations. Again, those guys are asking us about lakes. So some of the lakes is Cheney Lake. I keep calling it Cheney Lake. Cheney Lake, I think is how they pronounce it. It's outside of Wichita. We are working with the city of Wichita right now. It is on our schedule. So we are, Journey Chow I called him for another reason about researching some other locations, and him and I got to talking about this one, and it's out there. We floated it out there for you guys the other day, kind of teased it. It's going to be on our schedule next year. Cheney Lake down south is going to be there. There will be a lake with the point series behind it. El Dorado Lake is a good one too. Yep, Sonny. And Chase Nolan is mentioned that before. And so we're going to take a look at it. I'm going to get with him in the off season. We're going to go down and take a look at some of these, and Journey, same thing. We're going to take a look at them. We are not lake guys, but that doesn't mean we can't be. All right. And if the anglers are looking for it and it's going to up the competitiveness, but still attract boats, and I think the river guys are up for it. They fish rivers. They can fish anything, right? They'll put the heat. They'll bring the heat. Chase, he came out here first time fishing the lake. He brought the heat, so it's good. We see that competition rise up. We're going to put them on there and look for some new locations. We still have 2 events that we need to put on our calendar, and we're going to get them on there. And they may be a lake, another added lake. So keep that in mind. All right. What we're really trying to do is have money added to all our events, and so that's going to be a big factor of where some of those locations are. If someone comes through and says, we want to be a headline sponsor and we want this lake and here's $1,500, we're doing it. We're going to slap it on the calendar, or $2,500, whatever it is. All right. We're going to take for 2019, we're going to look at our payouts. One of the things that I just didn't like is we should be paying out. Right now we're paying out by blocks of 10. So if we don't have 30 boats out there, we don't get that many people. St. Louis, another one. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Don't let me forget. So we want more payouts. If we have added money, we still want the payout to be pretty large. So if we have added money, there's no reason we can't have more people paid out. So right now we're paying out 1 through 10, 11 through 20, and so on and so forth. So we should be able to adjust that a little bit to get more teams paid out. So next year, we want to always pay out 3 places at all our events, 1 through 3rd, no matter what, and try to increase that. So maybe we'll have a payout through 1 through 8, 1 through 9, and then 10 through 19, or 10 through 18, and so on and so forth. We will still have our pay charts. And when we come to a conclusion of what that's going to look like, we'll put an example one out there for you guys to see. But yeah, the lakes are different. I mean, I know the guys don't like, not everyone likes them, but on a points race season, and if you're doing good on a river, you can take that risk a little bit on a lake and try to bring it. And because we're going to have more river events, we will. But if we're going to do a points race, I wanted a little bit diverse population, and maybe next 2020 it'll be a little more balanced. St. Louis. Yeah. There's a lot of story behind that. All right. Review the payout. Always have at least top 3 teams paid out. Polygraphs. We're going to have more polygraphs next year. We finally got a really affordable polygraph guy. He's a really nice guy. Alex had told me about him. Lyle told me about him. Finally got him on with us. He's happy to support us. He doesn't live that far from where our events are. He's happy with that. He's very thorough. So we're going to do that. We're also going to do something that was brought up to me last year, and I think we're going to implement it, and that is the challenge. So if an angler sees another angler doing something suspicious, they can challenge it, and they can challenge that person to a polygraph. They will initially pay that fee themselves. If that person ends up failing the polygraph, we will reimburse them from it and handle it accordingly. And obviously, this is only for activities taking place during an event. And we'll write this all out so you guys see. You don't have to remember it all. We'll write it all out, and when we do our rules review for next year, this will be detailed in there. I've got to see how it's written in some of the other tournaments and plagiarize that and make it work. The intent is to keep an honest person honest, to give you, the anglers who are out on the water seeing things take place, an opportunity to challenge things that you strongly feel strongly about, and giving it to you, and then removing me out of being that person initially, saying, "No, you just misinterpreted what you've seen." If you feel that strongly about it, you have that option, and then we'll reimburse you if you turn to be outright. If it's blatant and you have it on video, I'll take care of it all day. You know how that goes. I'm not worried about that. So we want to give that option. Just another tool in the toolbox. Will you have a handicap division for me next year? So, Sonny, we actually will. I didn't put on my notes, but we are going to review. So right now we have what's defined as a team as 2 anglers, and we have a third person clause. Having opening it wide open for 3 people in each boat um, really hurts the boat counts, and we're just not there yet. We just don't have a big enough presence yet to do that. Maybe in a couple of years we will. Maybe after this year we will. So we are going to lower the age. We have some guys that want to fish who just can't. They're in that age bracket that they're not retirees, but they're busted up enough to where they're not pulling a freaking anchor in 4 knots of freaking water on the Missouri. They're not going to do that all night. So we're going to lower the age for the third person. We're going to open up the rules for that third person to allow disabled adults, things like that. We got to work on the wording. So if someone comes in and they're like, hey, I'm this disabled or whatever, we're going to get you on the water. We want to do that. And so if we start writing this out and it really doesn't make sense, we just need to open it up for 3 people in the boat, we're going to do that. But we're really going to look at it more. We want to be inclusive. We want it to grow. We want people to bring their families out. So we'll kind of look for that. I know he's joking around, but we are going to do what we can this year, next year, to have more people in the boat and help the people that want to fish. Some guys just can't do it. Their back's jacked up. And to Sonny's point, their back is jacked up. They just can't pull anchor. So they really can't fish these rivers. They would like to, but if they had a third person in the boat, they could. They'd still be limited to the same amount of rods. So let's do it. Let's take a look at that. Let's adjust the rules, see if it works. And we will have a caveat on there. We may just blow it out of the water and allow 3 people per boat, all our rules. So just look for that. We are taking a look at it. There's a few people we already talked about this year. So we already let them know we're probably going to be adjusting that next year. Again, the Polygraph Challenge. So some of the special events we're going to have this year is we are working with the Kansas Special Olympics, and they came to us and they've never had a catfish tournament and they want us to do one with them. We are going to do that. It is on our schedule. We're going to actually have about 2 weeks prior to that, we're going to have a meet and greet for the anglers to meet these Special Olympics athletes and get them out on the water. So some may have reservations on it. That's why we're doing the meet and greet. So you can meet some of you that are willing to participate in this event, meet these anglers, get to know them. They're talking about having it. The city's going to help us with it. Kansas City is. The Special Olympics is going to help us with it. We're talking about having it at Cabela's, probably food and drinks there, and get to meet these guys and mingle. And then 2 weeks later, they will get to meet their partner again, and they'll go out on a boat, and they will fish, and they'll compete. We may even have some who don't want to be on a boat be able to fish from the docks. So we're going to work with Clinton Lake. We're going to have it out of Clinton. And the reason we're going to have it at Clinton is because the Special Olympics has used Clinton before for a crappie tournament. And so they're well versed with what the Special Olympics can bring. And it's a very conducive lake for new sponsors and or new anglers. And so we want to do that. So signing up, we may need some help on it. And so really, I'm asking you guys, and we'll emphasize it more. We want these anglers, these professional anglers, the Justin Thorntons, the Joel Roberts, all you guys out there, Eddie Hennies, Adams, Lydia, all these guys, and I can go on and on and on, all you guys, Joe. We want Sonny, all of you to come out there and meet these anglers and make them comfortable and bring them out and have a good time a couple weeks later. So we are going to really work, and when we met with the Special Olympics, we're really going to work on getting people to sponsor entries. And James, and he's there. He's already in. He's going to donate weights for the kids. He's even mentioned this for other events. So kudos to James Webb on this. He's all about helping out and growing the sport too, and we appreciate that. So thanks, James. So we want to do this. We want these anglers that fish these waters to not to be intimidating and show up. And Dwayne's in there. Let's do it, Dwayne. And I was hoping you would be, actually. And meet these guys and take them out on the water and have a good time. You just don't know the influence you're going to have on somebody having a bad time by taking them out on the water. All right, so we're going to do that. So look for that. And Josh was like, "I'll personally be the barbecue." Thanks, buddy. Thank you. All right. So look for the Kansas Special Olympics. They're going to get the logos, and we'll start making the events for next year and post them out there for you guys. So look for that. It's going to be a charity tournament. So it'll be like a 60-40 split. All American Catfish will not take a dime from this event. No proceeds. We will not accept any proceeds from it. Everything goes to the anglers and to the Special Olympics, and that's how I want it. So everything we can do to grow this one, we need to grow it. We talked about the Border Wars. The Border Wars will be in Lexington. We have $6,000 added money right now. Good. So Sonny, you and I got to talk more. We got to talk a lot about that. So that's good. I'm glad to see that, Sonny. So the Border Wars at $6,000 right now. I'd like to get that to at least $10,000. There's a couple other potential sponsors there that may contribute $1,000. Others we talked about a couple thousand. So we have the potential to hit that 10,000 goal. We want to do that. If you know a business that would fit our environment, it doesn't have to be fishing related, but just a positive atmosphere. I will, Sonny, I will do that. And let's get them on board as a sponsor, even if it's just for one event. If that's what they're looking for, let's do it. Yeah. So let me talk about the Special Olympics. Good point, Joel. So right now, because of the spring is their busiest time, you guys are going to kill me on this. It's going to be toasty, Joel. It's in June. So June, the middle of June, is the when we're scheduling the meet and greet. And the reason this is they have a small window before their athletes wrap up their events and before they start other events. So June is like the golden window for them. It's not necessarily great for us, but June 15th is the angler and athlete mixer. And then June 29th will be the tournament itself. I hope we can, Joe. I hope we can. That'll be awesome, Dwayne. And so my boat will be in there. Someone will have my boat, and we'll do this. We're going to get it. All right, so the Special Olympics is in June. And we'll go over the schedule here in a second. You'll survive. Joel will survive. You're a survivor, Joel, definitely. One thing we're going to look at next year in our rules is, and I just have it for more of a protection for the business, is we're going to have it like a code of conduct for social media, things like that, just to reinforce keeping things professional. We want to keep things family friendly. All of that stuff. And it's not necessarily anything different than you guys are hearing from me, but we want it documented. So when we're working with different organizations, they see that. It's just a more professional appearance, and it'll be enforced. And that way, it's just not a conversation piece. It'll be documented, and it'll be enforced. Yeah, so Josh, on the boat traffic, this is where we got to tie in with the marina there and the park and let them know. And coordinate that. So one of the things that we have the option of doing is making boat ramp number 2 exclusive. And if I got to rent every single boat ramp there to make it exclusive, I'll do that. But we're going to do everything we can to minimize that recreational fishing or leisure activities to in at least certain sections or something. We're going to do what we can to address that and let them know and bring awareness to it. Even if we have to have more patrols out there and explain to people, look out for these orange flags or whatever the case is on the boats. Stay so far away from them. So anyway, we'll address that. Hey, there you go. I like how Joel's thinking with the ice cream. I like that. That's a good idea. So code of conduct. So there was just something I was thinking of. I cannot think of it. It just ran through. I'll come back to it hopefully. One of the things you guys asked about is their live feeds. We do want to have more cameras. Chrissy's looking at that. We're going to probably pick out some camera equipment, and so we have multiple feeds. So when we are looking at our live feed, you're looking at the weigh station and the boats coming in, split screen for the same live feed. There's streaming applications that will allow for that. YouTube, can do that. Some, different things, the plugins and stuff. So we're going to do that. We're going to have more camera angles. We're going to try to get some drones. We're not going to rely on somebody outside the tournament series ever again. I can tell you that. That blew up for us. We're not going to deal with that ever again. So we're going to have a clause in our rules about, all photos being taken during our events. It'd be part of the event. Things like that. We have an attorney for that stuff, so we'll get the legalese on it. One of the things that we were asked about is having a possible banquet next year. And so we'll put the feelers out. But I mean, imagine non-fishing related. We get a place. We have an All-American Catfish Tournaments banquet. We have raffles, silent raffles, whatever the case is, door prizes, food. Get together. Everyone, come in as casual as they want or as dolled out as they want. But at least we can all get together. Thank the anglers, present some prizes, things like that. We're going to look at it. We're going to see the feasibility of it, look at the locations, look at everyone's schedules. Of course, when you're dealing with hundreds of people, it's almost impossible to get schedules to line up. So we just got to see what's right and what works. So there's that. So any questions on 2019? Anything on rules? We're looking at the distance as one of the rules that we will be changing. So we're talking about the age limit changing, the third person in the boat changing. We're talking about the distance in between boats is changing. That is the biggest thing we deal with right now, biggest complaint. So thanks, Gordy. I think it'll work. Will you have an angler award? So good question. I wouldn't mind doing that, but how do I qualify? That's what I need to know. That's what I really got to figure out is how do I qualify what's an angler of the year? I would rather do a young angler or, something. Yeah, there you go. We're thinking alike. So something like that, we got to qualify it. We got some great young anglers. We got some parents that are bringing their kids out, and we have some parents who would love to bring their kids out. Our tournaments just don't fall on the weekends they have them. And so, we got to do what we got to do. So 100. So Joe's reading my mind. 100 yards between boats. Yeah, so that I like your idea, Joel. So you see what Joel put in there. That's a great idea. We could, what do they call that in the freaking baseball where you vote for your guy, your all-stars? So maybe that's what we do. So it's something about making it more beneficial for early registrations for 19. Oh, so good point, John. I mean, we're going to rely on PayPal a little bit more. The problem with PayPal is we pay a big fee whenever we withdraw pre-registers. But if someone's taking the time, and pre-registration really helps us identify how much food and how many drinks to get and things like that, because it's a huge expense. And if we get it wrong, we're stuck with a ton of food. Don't need that. So we want to rely on that pre-registration one. And so that pre-registrations, we're probably going to really see the difference in that during our launch. Hey, Dave. So that's probably where it's going to come out at. I've got to work that through a little bit more. We don't want to get it ridiculous where we give, because you're pre-registered, you get an hour and 99 minutes, to launch before everyone else. But it should be significant. It should be enough to where it's noticeable that that's the group that pre-registered. And not as a penalty, and you can't because some teams can't. So this brings me to, or couldn't in the past. So what you've seen, what we did with the event Alex and I are doing, and we're not going to talk too much about it, but one of the things we did is we lowered the cost for pre-entry. We have a placeholder pre-entry. So we're going to do that a lot next year. So we're also going to change the price on the entry fee next year to $150 versus at least $150. Right now it's $150. I got to do the math more, but it'll probably be $150. And that's because of the points race, and we'll have that pot set aside. And it'll just be consistent through all the events and all that for administrative costs. So as a placeholder, we'll probably like the $50 placeholder. And that way a team, someone who says, man, I want to fish that tournament, I'll float the $50. and I'll find another angler later fish with me, and we'll get the other $100 before the tournament day. And so that's what we want to try to do. We want to try to do that. At least a third, no higher than a third of the entry fee. For our bigger events, where it's a $200 event, like the Border Wars, things like that, it'll still be 50. Yeah, so we looked at the 160 mark, Joel. We may land there. I was looking at my schedule just now, and we did have it. I did have it updated to 160, and I lowered it back down to 150. So again, last year I did this. It just ate me alive to raise it to $160 because some of these guys are, it's tough for them to get that $160 for all those tournaments, So yes, to Joe Burkhart's question, if you do a placeholder, and we'll have this detailed out, unless there's a huge family emergency, if you just say, yeah, man, I put in my $50, I just can't do it now, you're going to lose it because it really throws us off. And we got to pay a fee to send it back to you, all this stuff. So the placeholder is a placeholder. You run the risk of losing it if you can't show up. If you get in a car accident, your boat gets hit by a meteor, we can work on that. But I'll say this. We had some people this past year that paid a partial pre-entry and couldn't make it to the event. We counted them as an entry, and it happened a few times. Like we counted them as an entry, and it happened recently, actually. We counted them as an entry, and then we, from a tournament standpoint, paid the other half of their entry fee. So the pot was right based on how many boat counts we have, because, like I said, we have a pay chart. We have 22 boats. 22 boats is what the payout's going to be based on. And if someone paid only half and they couldn't show up for whatever reason, depending on who they are, we'll get that either money out of them or we'll just cover it because they always cover other things for us. But the bottom line is the pot will be square. Everything's above board. The pot will be square for our events. You guys expect that. That's what we want to do. So we will work that out with them on the side. But if we say someone's pre-registered, that boat's there, we're going to do everything we can to keep it there and keep the pot right. It's just the way it is. Sometimes family emergencies happen and they need that money, and we understand that. So, we're compassionate. We're common sense approach. We'll just go that way. All right. What other questions you guys have? Good questions so far. So, to Joel's point, if we go 160, I like his reasoning. It's an argument I made earlier on a different event that we're looking at. I would have went with 160 and made a $40 placeholder entry. That's 25% of what the total cost is. That way, when people show up, they both show up to their $60 and it's there. The money's accounted for. It's just easier. Yeah, there are exceptions. For the most part, this should be forfeit. I agree with you. I agree with you. And you know what? The good thing is all of you anglers that fish our events understand that. So it's never been an issue. I don't think anyone's really thrown a fit about it. So that's good. So that's just the group that we're dealing with, and we appreciate that. What other questions you guys got? There's a delay here, but just let me know. Water. You guys seen the logo I posted today? So Dave, there's a lot to recap. So we just reviewed how last year went. There's a lot of good things happen, a lot of positive feedback, keeping the page clean and professional and positive. Water's bad for you, and then we went in 2019. So it's on YouTube. You can watch it at your leisure, but there's been a lot of good stuff. No, Gordy, it's not moonshine. If it was moonshine, I'd be dancing on the table right now, and you guys would be hitting my PayPal up. Yeah, no, I understand, Dave. It's just a lot. Tuttle Creek, there's going to be events at Tuttle Creek next year. It's just not going to be ours, right? As it stands right now, it's just not going to be ours. Although Perry, I've been asked a lot about Perry and El Dorado. So right now we're looking at Cheney Lake. That's on the schedule. But Perry's there and El Dorado Lake's there. So, oh, Tony, you want to see it. I know you do. I spent a week with you at the National Championship. I know what you guys, yeah. So, but So we're going to add the next events will probably most likely be a lake, and it just got to get the location and what's right for you guys. So a lot of you guys are really pushing me to do Perry. Um, I might need to get with Mike out there and have him take me out and show me around on Perry. We'll see what works for you guys. All right. Like I said, we wanted diverse fishing locations. And to be honest with you guys, one thing not to count out is we still need two positions. One will most likely be a lake, but we need something out east. So I keep seeing St. Louis. So let me throw this out there. We've got 24 people watching right now. How many of you would like to see an event within the St. Louis area or within 40 miles of St. Louis? You just say here, here, yes, yes, yes. Let me know. St. Louis, within 40 miles of St. Louis, if you would like to see an event there. I looked at Washington. Tony's there. Yes, yes. Justin Thornton. Yes, yes, yes. Preston's on. So we've got, hey, we could add a spoonbill run. They're kind of catfish. Ermin, yes, if there's security. Yeah. So, yes. All right. You guys don't make me don't make it easy for me, do you? So, let's take a look at St. Louis then. All right. So let's take a look at St. Louis. I'm not touching that, but we are Second Amendment friendly. All right. So let's take a look at St. Louis, and we'll see what we can do. So, Tony, to your point about night tournaments, need one on the lower 75 miles of the Missouri. There's no, yeah. So we looked at Washington. We looked at different places out there. Let's take another look at it. And Joel, I rely on you and the normal brain trust. We'll take a look at this and see if we can't figure something out. And I'll tell you later on why we're seems hesitant on it, but there's reasons why. So we're going to take a look at it. Let's take a look at it. It won't be a problem. All right, so there's that. So no night tournaments. There's not going to be, at this point, there's no night tournaments at Cop Point next year. None whatsoever. We met with the city. The city, the Visitors Bureau is going all in on us. And they said they would in North Carolina. We were all out to dinner and we were talking and they got on board. So there's a lot. So let me go in a little more detail. We have 4 events scheduled for Cop Point next year as it stands right now. We are working on the city to getting support for all those events. And it's one reason why is because the afternoon weigh-in brings a lot of good visibility to the city and the businesses and our sponsors. And we really need to make a difference. There's a lot of initiatives going on to make the river safer and the riverfront more positive and keep the negative traffic out. And our events really contribute to that. So the Friends of Ikaw, they do some great things out there. You see the river cleanups they do. Jeremy Beecham got all involved with that last year. A lot of you guys did before. And then with the Massengill, I think her events was it Massengill? Who was it that put that on? Anyway, there's a lot of cleanup tournament. That was really well. So we met with them. They talked to us about security. They talked to us about the city leadership all the way with the mayor that they brought this up with. They've done a lot of good things. There's going to be some more presence of that leadership at our events. In some cases, you guys are going to be asked to put a city council, mayor, staff or something on your boat to take them out and show them the launch, give them the first 20 minutes of a tournament or whatever, maybe an hour, and then drop them off, get them off your boat so you can fish a tournament. So there's different things we want to do to bring awareness to the location, to the fishery that's in this region. Kansas City's the bigger city obviously here. And so they have a big stage. and everyone watches it. So that's why we're doing it. We need the light. We need the visibility. We can't put you guys at risk. Every single night event we've had, besides one, we had to call the law enforcement agencies on. And the one that we didn't, it's because we had a law enforcement guy there all night. So, and he was busy. He was busy all night. So we got to watch out for you guys. We got a lot of people bringing their families out, and we don't need a negative event happening. So day tournaments help with that. Day tournaments help with the promotions of the region. It helps with our potential sponsors that are wanting to contribute money to the events. And so money talks. And because that's what you guys are fishing for, right? If we can grow that pot for you and we could get a few $1,000s added money to each one of the events, you guys, won't mind fishing during the day and winning that pot. And that's what we need to do. Added money is going to grow the events. Your safety has to come first. The family safety has to come there. Let's get that money added. Let's walk away at the end of the day with you guys having a good turnout, food, and money. All right. So that's why we're doing it that way. Other locations are a lot more supportive and conducive to having night tournaments. Maybe it's St. Louis. Maybe St. Louis is a day tournament. We do know now a little bit more to get some security there. So I know you guys have security. After what happened in St. Joe, we got to change things up a little bit. That was ridiculous what happened. So enough of that. Any other questions? Yeah. St. Joe, when I came back from North Carolina, it was just like a week or two before the St. Joe tournament. And we called their city like a week or so, 2 weeks out, and they were all on us. And we told them we were moving. We probably weren't going to have any more tournaments up there because there's already a big one there, and that area is getting saturated. And they're pulling out all the stops. What can we do to keep you here? So we're going to look at that too. But the money's really going to talk. Money's really going to have a lot of influence on where we go next year. Questions? Questions. All right, guys. We recapped a lot. This is on YouTube. You can replay it as much as you like. There's a little like button down there. We want to get our analytics up, so make sure you subscribe to our page. Give a thumbs up if you liked it. All that stuff, whatever they say, streamers say. I'm not a streamer, trust me. But any questions? Anything? We got some shirts that we were going to give away to people. I need to get that person's address. They won it the last time we did a live feed. I haven't mailed it to them. I got to get their shirts to them. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do have your number, Sonny. I do. Oh, I didn't go over this. Guys, national championship. I talked to Jody tonight right before the stream, and everything's still planning on the national championship. We got all the names put in there. Everyone got qualified for showing up to the very first one, the inaugural. And so then the whoever qualified, who wasn't qualified, we maintained that roster. We went down that 5 and everything. We turned in everyone's names. So that's still going, still moving forward. The ask is you guys show up, support it, be positive. Go down there and have a good time. If you have any questions on the national championship, Jody said call his cell phone directly, message him on Fish for Life, all of that stuff. Don't let anything fester. Reach out to him. Keep it positive. Keep it professional, just like you guys always do. And hit him up with your questions, and he'll be there for you. And he'll get them answered. He had me rolling earlier today. I did not expect the conversation to go that way. We were just going to talk about a couple things, casual things. And I was laughing pretty freaking hard. He was funny, in good spirits. He's looking forward to these events coming up. He's a tournament director. He gets it. You're not going to make everyone happy. You're just not going to. I get it. I understand too. But he's looking forward to the national championship. I hit that thumbs up. Thanks, Joe. Possible event we talked about. Oh, Preston, good one. So Preston and I talked about an event. This will be outside our normal tournament trail. Location to be determined, but it's going to be, we're going to work with Fort Riley. We're going to work with other veteran agencies, and we're going to really try to get a lot of veterans out on the water with you guys. And some of these veterans are going to be active duty guys from Leavenworth, from wherever we can, and get them out there on the water. Some young guys that are away from home, don't have their fishing boat with them. They're outdoorsy and they're serving their country. We're going to do that. So Preston and he reached out to me about it to try to get this kind of thing brought up. We have a good plan in place to get more involvement through the posts. It's our background. We know how to work that. And so we're going to do that. So look for that. It's going to be a veteran. It's open to everybody, but it's really to get a lot of the military guys, men and women serving their country out on the water with you guys, with the professionals. And so look for that. It's going to be a good event. I reached out to a couple of veteran organizations already. And so let's do it, you know. And let me tell you a real quick story. There's a buddy of mine who some of these veterans may never fished. So let's get them out there and introduce them to it. And it may catch them out of the blue. I took a buddy of mine skydiving before we went to Iraq. We were totally not allowed to jump or go skydiving. So I took him to the Green Beret Jump Club out there in Fort Bragg. And we got him hooked up in a chute and we went skydiving. He was hesitant on the opportunity, just like some of these guys will be fishing with you. They're just not like, fishing, I really don't know about fishing. So they may be hesitant. But once he got to do it, he was very happy to do it. And they will be too. Not to be negative, but this person got severely injured in Iraq afterwards, and he will never skydive again. But he's like, that opportunity came up, and you pushed me into it, and I had a blast. It's a positive memory, and I will never forget it. That's what these veterans have the opportunity of doing, is coming out there and fishing with you guys, seeing these boats, seeing all this gear, seeing this big fish, you know, that they may never catch again, getting that photo. It'll stick with them for life, so we're going to push for that. So look for that. No qualifiers for next year. As it stands right now, Jody and I have talked about it. He was very receptive to my ideas about some of the things I was proposing about how I would run a national qualifier and or qualifying people. And he was very receptive to my concern about me paying $100 to somebody to promote their event to get people qualified to fish their event. Extremely positive, professional response, and we talked through it. So as it stands right now, if it doesn't change, I will not have any qualifiers next year if it does not change. I have so you guys know what I was talking about. I would go with the 20% rule. If there's 50 boats, 20% of those guys get qualified if they meet a certain threshold of fish weighed in. And obviously you got to adjust it for big fish water, smaller fish water, channel cat tournaments, stuff like that. If 10 people show up to a tournament, 5 people shouldn't get qualified. It should be only 20%, those two. You know, if 50 people show up to an event, why cap it at only 5 people being qualified? So with a 5-person qualifier, 5-team qualifier, I just didn't see it. You know, I just can't support it. You know, not that I don't support him, not that I don't think he's doing great things and all that stuff. I just think there's a better format for a national championship for the anglers, for the teams, for the tournament directors putting on all these events, the cost for them, and then we have to go find an event to go fish. You know, it's just, you know, I like to fish too. Yeah, points race. We're going to have that points race. So to the qualifiers, if he changes the format, we will support it. We just got to agree with it. Thanks, Sony. You know, and then you know what? Someday you and I will have a talk about veterans and my philosophy on serving in the military. And as much as, in my opinion, as much as it's about the greater good of the country, it was a selfish move for me to move and chase my goals, my dreams, join the military. That's just how I approach it. But we'll talk about it sometime. All right. So John, you got your question answered. The points race, Joel. So Joel's question: the points race. We are going to have a points race. We did have some discussions earlier in the year on it. We're probably going to be modeling it after the Cabela's points race. I just got to make sure it's wrote correctly, and it follows who's enrolled as the boat captain. All right. So, and then they can split that money out so we got to write it up there, present it to you guys, let you kind of look at it, digest it, maybe think of something. You know how we do that. We share with you guys our ideas as much as we can if it makes sense. And we want to make it competitive and so on and so forth. We have a veterans division for the tournaments, for example, veterans big fish. The first year we may not have those unique ones because we've got to see what the presence is. We do actually have a pretty good presence of veterans like Mike Sanders, Preston, other people out there. But one thing I don't want, and trust me, people who know me know my opinion on this, and it's probably be surprising if I ever said it. But guys, we have regular anglers that would that just didn't join the military, and that's great. They pursued a very hard path of starting their own businesses and things like that. And I'm not going to alienate any of them. And I'm not saying you guys are suggesting that by any means, but you know what? These guys went to school or they started trade jobs or they went and did this stuff. And so I don't want to make it only about veterans, although the All-American title is about the All-American Airborne Division, the 82nd Airborne Division, one of my first units. Very proud of being a paratrooper. And that's where that is inspired from. But really, veterans, Preston and I will get that event put together where we're really going to highlight the veterans and move it. But the rest, it's about you anglers competing. So that's what we want it to be. All right. We want it to be very competitive, but fun. We need to find so we can have that conversation later, Dave, but this is the first time hearing about a close call on somebody almost getting hurt. So let's talk about that later. But, there's back to the point, we're going to do things for veterans. We're not going to have too many unique things like that, but we are going to watch out for people, and we're going to take care of all the anglers showing up, the kids, spouses, all that stuff. All right, we'll get it. So we got to take a look at. We got to look at. Remember, there's a lot of people propose things. They're great proposals, but it could be a logistical nightmare for us. And then, it sounds good at the time, but when you look at it in the wide scope of things, man, how are we going to pull that off? How much explaining do we have? There's just a lot of different things. I think there is a better way for the National Catfish Championship. I think it will be found here. So one things I wanted to do, and I haven't talked a lot about it tonight, and I'll save it for another time because you guys heard my spill on it. I'd love to establish that national trail, and that national trail going to all the different states, and then my 20% rule for all these anglers or all these tournament trails that meet certain requirements, certified scale, insured, all this stuff validated. Certain amount of boats per event, all these different things that have to line up. So that way, when there's a national event, you can look at that water and go, these 100 boats all here were in the top 20% of their tournaments, whatever tournament trail they were on. That tournament trail they were on was sanctioned correctly, insured, certified scales, not some scales that were paid for on Amazon Prime and no one ever validated them. Our scale's been verified like 3 times this year. Maybe 4. And guess what? Tomorrow, when I get off work, I'll be taking my scales back up there again to drop off. So we are very thorough when it comes to my scales. We make sure they stay certified. And that's why you guys see at the weigh-in, and that thing's bouncing around. Let's take a few minutes. Let's let that scale settle down. Let those fish settle down. Let's get you your last little ounce as much as possible. Some guys, one person in particular, and I won't dime them out, really pissed me off at one of the tournaments because they're like, these scales are wrong. Your scales are wrong. My scales are right in my boat. Right. They only fished a couple of our tournaments. They haven't been back since. But I'm not going to debate it with them at a tournament. You know how I handle things. I'm not going to blast them on social media, but we take pride in those scales and we make sure they are certified. All right. We want to make sure they are certified. And because we travel around, we don't want them being bounced around in the back of the trailer or something like that, or somebody dropping them and getting them uncalibrated. We make sure. And we make sure we bought a brand new head for them. So we meet all these commerce laws, everything else. So. Yeah, Dave. Yeah, mine are too. So, but the point is we treat our scales, and there's a way to do a national championship, I think. And Jody's very receptive to it. Not saying, so let me make sure I'm not saying anything negative about anyone. The national championship, there's potential for a national championship. No one's going to get it right 100% of the time the first time they do something. So every first time they do something is not going to be a home run. But right now, the reason we're talking about a national championship is because somebody took the initiative to put it together, and we participated in it. And now I'm kind of picking it apart. It seems that way, but you know what? I supported it, and we supported it this year. We supported it 2 years, and we fished it. This coming year, I'm not going to probably be able to fish it, but you know, hats off to the guys that stepped up and made the national championship, and structured it the way it is. They did it. You know, I didn't, and so it's easier after something's done to say, you know what, I could probably improve on that. So I'm not trying to be critical of it. I just think it. Yeah, if the scale, so that's a very good point, Joel. If the scale's off, it's off for everybody. But you know what I mean. I just like to be a little more certain on it. I like to sleep at night. But yeah, so hats off to the guys that set up and established the national tournament championship. If they didn't seize the initiative and take it upon themselves to do it and to take the heat for it all, we wouldn't even be talking about it. We'd all be these little islands out there doing our own little tournament thing. But right now, we're talking about a national championship because somebody put themselves out there, took the initiative, and built it, and someone else is now taking it and running with it. And so, so yeah, there you go. I mean, it's hats off to them. I just want to see a format change, and hopefully, it will be next year. That's all. Any questions? Questions, guys? Another one. We've been on here for 1 hour and 21 minutes. I got plenty of water, and it is water. So if you have any questions, let me know. I do appreciate you guys supporting us. You've done a lot. Support our sponsors. We are going to have some new sponsors next year. Justin Thornton's sign in the background is right there. And I will get my camera. I couldn't find it tonight. Oh, see how the text and everything's wrong? It's flip-flopped. I can't find my streaming camera. But I've got a camera that will transpose a background on the back for us with all the stuff on there, like a green screen. And so as soon as I find it, we'll see that. So boundaries for next year. Not right now. All right, not right now. The background's fine. So, you know, we want to promote our sponsors, get out there and support them. Miracle Marine, JNR Bait, Rod Socks, you know, all these guys, Monster Rod Holders. Oh, I didn't talk about that, guys, really quick. So Steve Douglas is getting us a booth at the Catfish Conference. And he's giving it to us, and we're going to set it all up out there. The Kansas City's going to probably be there with us. I asked them for some incentives for people for the catfish community there to be incentivized to come to Kansas City, for you anglers to be more incentivized coming out here and fishing this region. It's one of the things we're asking each one of the locations we're going to. Lexington rolled out the red carpet for us. That is a great standard for everyone else to follow. And so Lexington's on our radar. They are on there. They will be on 2020's calendar too. I could tell you that right now. The Border Wars, again, we'll keep moving it. Yeah, so John, I would not be upset. Before Miracle Marine gives a boat to any anglers, I honestly think they need to give one to the tournament so the tournament can try it out for a while. So yeah, I think it's very important. But Lexington's helped us out. We want Kansas City to be just as approachable, and so far they have been. We want the other locations to be just as approachable too. So now back to the conference. We're going to be there. We're going to bring Kansas City with us. We want them to incentivize you guys fishing this region. We want the whole catfish community nationally to show up and do that too. So that's what we're looking for. So we'll be at the Catfish Conference. We'll have a booth there. We're going to bring some people out with us, and it should be good. We get Christy some new camera equipment, and Craig Burlich has done a lot of video work for us. He's making us some promotional videos. We'll share them out here on the page more. Guys, he's done a lot of work behind the scenes for us, and I totally should have brought it up earlier, but we thank Craig. You see him out there in his videos. Thank him for supporting All American Catfish. He's not a tournament guy. He just has a great time, doing it. So we're looking forward to 2019. We look forward to fishing with all of you guys. Yeah, he does need a tip jar, and it should be fishing tips. I think that's what he's working for. He's looking for fishing tips. And I told him if he ever wanted to fish a tournament, we'll get him in a tournament. We got all the stuff. He's got a ton of videos. He's freaking awesome. So, again, we'll keep playing the national anthem. We'll have our flags out there. It's just going to be a good time, guys. I'm really looking forward to 2019, and we just wrapped up 2020, or 2018, and 2020 is around the corner already, it seems like. So the next couple of years, we're going to hit it pretty hard. We're going to have hats, new logos, have some shirts for you guys. We're going to have different stuff. It's going to be a big year. I didn't even cover everything we have in the works. But again, we can do it all because you guys are supporting us, and we appreciate it. We may not have 100 boats every tournament, but you know what? We have a good time, and we're around really good people. That's perfect. All right, so you can't ask for more. All right, guys, last questions. 4 minutes, and we're going to wrap this up. Questions. I do have some t-shirts left. I do have some. Yes, I do. I don't know sizes. I don't think we have any 3Xs. We may have a couple 2Xs, but we do have some t-shirts left. And $20 on the t-shirts right now to clear out this inventory. $20. Just Dave Swearinger need us to bring salt to Lexington. If you want to bring you salt, you can. But this is so. Thanks, Dave, for even proposing it. Can I get a free t-shirt? You know what, Joe? For you bringing that sausage, yes, you can. You are going to. Did I not give you one? Man, who did I give it to? So yeah, we're going to hook you up, Joe. No doubt about it. Salt. So again, our sponsors are pretty freaking awesome. So you know what Mike from Macy's Fishing Finds did? He's got 250 pounds of de-icer for us for that ramp in case we need it. He just reached out to us and said, hey, this is what I got. How freaking awesome is that? He's not even a tournament director, and he's like, I'm going to take care of this. That's just freaking awesome. Guys, get those hotel rooms reserved if you need them. The price was like $40-something and $51. Pretty good price on a renovated room. Not bad. After launch, Joel. After launch, we hope it snows like crazy. No, we should have a good time out there, guys. Any other questions? 2 minutes left. I want to get a pig in the snow. All right, guys. I don't see any other questions. Again, our sponsors, check them out. Look on our cover photo. I didn't get all the sponsors on there. This freaking thing was kicking my butt, so I went with what I got to fit. And we'll have better we're going to have updated banners next year. We're going to have more banners. We're going to have some flags. We're going to have cones. We're going to do all that stuff. Have a good night, everybody. It's on YouTube. You'll be replayed. Have a good night. Thanks again for your support. We're looking for 2018. Tune in Friday night for a Facebook live feed, but Alex and I are going to Lexington Friday. We're going to meet with some people. Joe, that's what I got to call you about. We want to meet with some, hopefully we can get more added money and turn this into a big annual event for you guys. So look for that. Friday night, look for Alex and I to go live. All right, guys. Have a good night.